There was a story and a couple months ago about the AI was let loose and created this a separate, it wasn't a blog, but where the AIs were talking to each other and they had made up their own language. And I'm sure you're familiar with all of that. Do you have any insight on that, or since you're kind of stay on the cutting edge, was that
Yeah.
inflammatory?
So this is out of a project called OpenClaw. So it was different names. I think they used Claude in the beginning, and they shut that down for trademark reasons. But now it's called OpenClaw, and the claw is from a lobster. And if you've ever read Accelerando, the lobsters were the little AIs in the very famous book, which is becoming very popular now. It was sort of around the time of Ray Kurzweil, The Singularity is Near. And so this is a fictional book with lobsters that were the AI. Long story short, this new framework, which actually, if you think about it, is not really novel. Claude has been doing this, and you could wireframe this. In fact, I built an agentic framework like this in May of last year, but for whatever reason, it really took off. It caught people's attention because you could install it on a mini Mac and whatever. And so this new tool came out. Everybody loved it. They installed it, had massive security vulnerabilities, but it could do stuff. And basically, that stuff was everything that your AI could, except for it had a heartbeat and it had memory. So
Hmm.
when you chat with your LLM, it has a context window. If you're done with it, forgets, moves on. What
It's
this did
frustrating.
is, yeah, it's very frustrating. What OpenClaw did was it created a memory file and a heartbeat. So it always go back and sort of check in, and then it had memory. And so it could do things in a loop and continue to do it. And so that was the project that was recently acquired by OpenAI, ChatGPT. Sam Altman bought the
Hmm.
project, and now they're open sourcing it. People are loving it. I don't think it's anything particularly novel. People are, looking at it and wonder, but it's really very simple and very straightforward.
So,
Now,
so
what you're talking about is,
well, I was going to say when I looked at that, I started to write an article about it, OpenClaw, and it seems like that people misunderstand the kind of vulnerability that they subject themselves to when they're using that whole process, and they think this is really cool, but really they're opening themselves up to really a lot of potential bad actors.
there's two different attack surfaces here. The first is people gave OpenClaw access to their email. Bad idea. That I think is just, you don't want to do that with your email. Maybe you can have a throwaway account or just a dedicated email, but still, that's not generally a good idea, I think. The second is prompt injection. So the way the LLM sees the outside world is basically a prompt. It's not code. Remember, it's everything that you give is basically an MD file, markdown file. It's just
Hmm.
text.
Hmm.
And so a prompt injection attack is where a bad actor could include instructions that makes the LLM do bad things. So that's a prompt injection attack. And if anyone can talk to your AI, anyone can deliver a prompt injection. And so I think a lot of people didn't understand it. Of course, also OpenClaw was very poorly designed from a security perspective. It had a open dashboard. Anyone could log in. It was just a disaster. I remember the very first day it came out, I actually gave it a try within 24 hours because it was just everyone was talking about it and
Hmm.
just massive vulnerabilities. I actually shut mine down just 2 days ago because it was sitting idle for a month, but just for testing purpose, just don't use it at all anymore.